Once upon a time, I was sat at my bedroom window and I saw my very first shooting star, and I knew that you could wish on them. And I wished for a family, a baby. I was young, naive, silly, but I did. And that wish came true. Not long after, I gave birth to a 5 pound 7 ounce beautiful baby boy, and we called him CJ. He was literally everything that I could have ever asked for. I don't remember a time where I was ever as happy as I was with him. I remember when he was born and everyone had left the hospital because he was born in the early hours of the night or the morning. Felt like we were the only two people in the world. And I told him how much I loved him, how much I wanted him. I told him I would protect him for the rest of his life and I'd be by his side. And I told him all the things that I wanted to do with him, all the things I wanted to show him and teach him. And then, in what kind of became a tradition, I sang very quietly. I sang "You Are My Sunshine" to him. There has never been a moment more perfect in my entire life. When we got home, he was such a placid baby. He was so smiley when he learnt to smile, and he was just a joy to be around. I'm not saying it was easy. Of course, there were times that were hard. And soon after he was born and we brought him home, I became a single mum. But it was worth it for him. I would have done that 10 times over for him. But there is so much more that I don't remember. And I wish I'd taken 1,000 more photos. I had 5 months with CJ. And then he was injured by someone. And to this day, I don't know 100% who did that. And I probably never will. But because I couldn't prove that I didn't do it, of course, he was taken off me. He was put into foster care by social services, and I had contact once every day throughout the week. There is absolutely no way to describe what that did to me and what it did to my family. Having a child removed from your care doesn't just affect you, it affects those who are close to you, who are around you. And for me, that was my mum and my sister. I became a shadow of the person that I was when he was taken into foster care. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I became sick, I had no energy, I couldn't think straight, my mental health declined rapidly. I had absolutely no support, and that's not to say that I didn't have emotional support from my family, but they were falling apart too. This whole thing was really new to us all, and we were struggling to fall into place and get on with everything that was needed of us. When we were around CJ in the contact, we struggled not to cry, not to be overwhelmed at just how heartbreaking it all was. it was hard to just put that to the side and enjoy spending time with him. It bled into every facet of being with him and thinking about him. There was no pleasure in that anymore. Assessments came and went, and I failed. And I had to say goodbye. And that goodbye was the hardest thing that I have ever done. I had my entire family with me, so a lot of the day was theirs, and then I got a little bit of time at the end with him on my own, other than the social worker stood by the door, and I got to say goodbye to him, and I got to sing to him one last time. And then I had to say goodbye. Unfortunately, I quickly became pregnant again. I didn't realise at the time that I didn't want another baby. I wanted the baby that I already had. I wanted CJ, so I went into it with the wrong intentions. And sadly, my relationship became abusive and my world just completely fell apart. I was hiding the grief that I was still feeling for CJ. I was hiding the abuse that I was facing at home, just to try and get through to see if I could keep my second son. We had another assessment, and during that assessment I realised it just wouldn't be right for him to come home to the abuse. It wouldn't be right for him to come home when I hadn't fully bonded with him, and because I didn't have him for the right reasons, and so it felt right to say goodbye to him, and so I gave up fighting. After I said goodbye to CJ, I was given the opportunity to meet the adoptive family, and they were amazing. I couldn't have wished for two better people to adopt CJ. So when I found out that RJ was being adopted officially, I asked if the family that adopted CJ wanted to adopt RJ, and they did. And so RJ went to live with his brother the way that he would have if they'd been with me. And then the adoptive family gave me something that I had never expected. We met up again, and this time my mum and my sister were able to meet them, which was really important because they needed some form of closure too in all of this, to be able to live their lives and just not worry about the boys as much. And I knew I came out of the first meeting with the adoptive family feeling like I would never worry about the boys again, and I wanted them to have that. And in that meeting, the adoptive family actually gave me an email address. It took a couple of months for me to plug up the courage and to realise that it was the right thing to do, to email them. And so I did. And when they responded, it was the beginning of a completely new and unique contact that is apparently quite rare. We originally focused on the boys. We talked about them, if they'd done anything during the day that was special, if they'd had anything going on in their lives, if they'd been on holiday, what they'd been up to. We were able to pass back and forth birthday messages and Christmas messages, and because the boys were able to sort of get to know me like that on top of the letterbox system, my eldest actually asked to see me in 2011. We waited a year and he was still asking, so we set that up. And I was absolutely petrified. And it sounds strange to say that you're petrified to see your own children, but I was. thanks to Peggy coming to meet me, we'd ironed out all the details. I knew that CJ was excited to see me, and RJ, who was still quite young at that point, was a little reluctant, but was going to be there. Peggy came to pick me up at the train station, and they'd rented out a house in the local village. And I remember as she drove up the driveway, I could see CJ on the wall bouncing up and down, and I could just about make out RJ behind his dad. He was very shy. The meeting, albeit nerve-wracking, was incredible. It gave me the ability to see that the boys were so happy and so loved in their little family unit with Peggy and Chris, who were the adopters, and I honestly couldn't thank them enough for giving me that, because seeing them as a family unit was so eye-opening. It was so eye-opening, and it made me feel like, even though I regretted how this happened, it seemed right. It seemed like the boys had landed exactly where they should have done, with the parents that they were meant to have. And that gave me a lot of closure that I didn't even know that I needed. And I will be forever grateful that we got that. The meeting went so well that the boys and all of us have agreed that we would all like to continue it. For the last 8-9 years, we have been meeting annually, and bar COVID, we've still managed to get some meetings in there, and it's going really well. The boys know me. They know a lot about me. They know my family. My family have been able to attend these meetups now, and it's genuinely an extended family between us. You know, we all get together, we have a day together now as the boys are older, and it's just normal for us, and we just hang out like a normal family. And I'm there if the boys ever need me. If they have any questions, they can ask Peggy and I'll answer them straight away. They've never had questions that couldn't be answered because I've been there the entire time. This contact has allowed them to grow up knowing that their birth family are just within reach. They can see us, they can talk to us, they can send us an email, and for them, I hope that is what was needed. So me and Peggy, the adoptive mum, have come together through all of this, and we really genuinely have created a friendship. She is genuinely my friend and I am hers. It's not just about the boys, even though they are our priority, and we wanted to do more within this sector. And so we shared our story. We created a 10-episode podcast that shares both of our journeys from beginning to the present, and it talks more in detail about each step and how we became friends and how we got from just being adopter and birth parent to releasing a podcast together and direct contact and everything in between. Our situation is so rare, but we're not the only ones. There are a few people out there who are doing something like our contact, but there's not nearly enough. But it's worked for us, and my family and me have been healed from everything that happened from losing the boys, because while we might have lost them, they never lost us. And that's the most important thing.